Okay, we're on. Welcome to the October 1st meeting of the Citizen Review Board. We have a quorum of board members present. And I think everybody who's showing on the screen is a board member, right? We've got Lori, Ruth, Mary, May, Cliff, Dan, and Dana. That match what you've got, Dana?
Dana says yes.
Dan and Dana. All right. We'll start with board action items, approval of September meeting minutes. Could I have a motion to approve September meeting minutes? Dan made the motion, Lori seconded. Any comments or questions about the September meeting minutes? Okay, all in favor of approval, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
That sounds like everybody. Any opposed? Okay, unanimous approval of the meeting minutes. Chairperson's report. There's a couple items on your agenda and one or two others I want to mention. So, second district vacancy is still open. Councilor Hogan has not appointed or brought in a replacement to the board yet. So, any other updates on that? Renette, we have no more news, right?
I spoke with him about a potential candidate, and I believe they spoke. And but I have not seen anything appear on the council agenda as of yet. I followed up with Amanda Guzman today after leaving 2 messages for Councilor Hogan yesterday and today. And I have not received a call back. So yes, the vacancy is still there.
Okay, so you're trying to reach him to find out what's up.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, 2020 board terms, just an update. I think we had a couple people whose terms were ending who were going to contact people who appointed them. So I guess this is just a reminder. If your term is up in December and you want to stay on the board for another term, you need to contact who appointed you, or the equivalent counselor if they've been replaced. If you don't want to stay on the board after December, please let me and Renette know, so we'll inform the council and they can be looking for a replacement. So please, everybody, if your term is up, do let us know. And we'll be checking in with individuals as well. Something I did not put on the agenda, but wanted to bring up. We have our annual term for administrator evaluation coming up. It's supposed to be done at the end of every year. We have to have a 3-person committee from the board, which consists of myself as board chair and 2 other board members, to meet with the mayor or mayor's appointee, who is likely to be Sharon Owens, and the chair of the Public Safety Committee, Councilor Majak. So those 5 people would be a committee. Last year, I think it was me and Lori and Cliff. Is that right? So I will need to appoint that committee soon. My thoughts on, and we need I'm a mayoral appointee. So besides me, we need a counselor appointee and an at-large appointee. Last year we had Lori and Cliff. My thought is, since we've nominated Lori to be the next board chair, it'd be good for Lori to be on that board again. Lori, would that be okay with you? Okay. So we need one more person. Cliff was on it before. It would still need to be, what's that, at-large? Is Cliff an at-large appointee? Okay.
Yes.
So that narrows it down, either Dan or Cliff. Dan is volunteering. I forget who the 3rd at-large appointee is. Is that a volunteer, Dan?
It is.
Mary, were you saying something, gonna say something? Your screen came up.
I am on mute. I'm still at work.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I have one other volunteer. It's Dan. I guess I'd like to submit that to the board for approval then, that the members of the committee from the CRB would be me, Dan, and Lori. Any comments on that? Okay, could I have a motion to approve? Ruth is moving and Dana is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. I think that's everything additional that I had. We'll talk about board training, hearing locations. Renette, do we have any progress on finding a location for hearings?
So they have removed all the stuff from what I gather from the iLab. So we may be able to hold the hearings in the iLab. I do have a calendar scheduled for October. So just making sure that we look at dates for which we can get a complete hearing panel for those dates. Yes, Dan?
Oh, wait a minute. I gotta get on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any reason why we couldn't use that atrium? That seemed to work out pretty well. And I don't think it's overused. And if we locked all the doors,
The only reason why we thought about not doing the atrium was because of all the glass that is in there. So then if people are walking by, it's not really private. But I guess we can kind of, that was the only reason why we didn't look at that. We're looking at a space where people couldn't readily walk by and just be able to see what's going on.
all right. I assume there was a reason. That's as good as any.
Yeah, we did talk about that. But yeah, if that,
Or what about where we used to meet in the hearing room?
Well, the only thing about that one was there may not be enough space, but we have offered it as an alternative. So say if we needed to do it via WebEx, opposed to in person based upon how the complainant was feeling or even a particular board member, we could set that room up to be utilized in that manner for the complainant to be inside of that room. And then the officers to be in a place where their attorneys would be, if in fact they had an attorney, so that then it would appear on WebEx, and then the hearing panel could be in the, in the office or in another location, but still 6 feet apart. Because we also have to take into consideration that some people may still not be willing to come in person and they may want to do virtual. So with that being said, we want to be able to offer those options. So as of right now, we are all the hearings that we voted, all the hearings that the board voted on, all the cases rather that the board voted to hearing. We have reached out to all the complainants and asked them to contact the office and advise whether or not they would like to do an in-person hearing or virtual. And so right now we're collecting that data to see which ones are going to opt for which measure. We also sent those same letters to all the officers that would be involved in those hearings, and we're waiting for responses back. But we're hoping that we'll get something, and we'll move from there.
Dan, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just for information purposes, does the city of Syracuse own and operate that entire building that our office is in?
Yes.
Okay. Somewhere in that building, there has to be some kind of a conference room that's big enough to hold us. And as long as we're sort of an arm of the city, why couldn't we just figure out a way to get that if that's possible?
So we did look into the conference room that is on the first floor. And I
Okay.
sent around an email with a number of pictures of that particular conference room. And based upon my recollection, board members still felt that that place was too close to socially distance within 6 feet. So we did look at that option as well on the first floor, and that would have been the bigger of the rooms that we had available other than using the atrium and for that public purpose.
I apologize for my redundancy.
You want to
Thank
say
you.
that again, Dan? Okay. I think I'm finished. Sorry. I think we're finished with the administrator's report. Or, I'm sorry, the chair's report. So, administrator, it's up to you.
All right, so we previously had, we'll talk about activity report and then I'll add the part about the training with Bob somewhere down the line. We'll do that. So activity report, we had 8 new cases to come into the CRB office in the month of September, making the total cases for 2017. Sorry.
Wow. Just have a birthday or something? Or?
Can I say something, by the way, in Renette's defense? Renette and I spent an hour earlier this afternoon on the phone or on a Zoom call with the Daily Orange reporter who asked really good questions. And Renette was just rattling off information after information, piece of information, one after the other. It was amazing what was coming out of this woman's head. I didn't have to say a word. I said one or two little things, but the amount that she knew and was able to keep in her head and stay in a logical way was wonderful. So, Renette, you go ahead and make all the mistakes here you want.
Thank you. So for 2020, that makes our total 37 for the year so far, which is, again, slightly lower than we typically have, which I'm disappointed, but I understand. So I'm trying to work with that. But yes, and tonight we will be reviewing 4 cases in executive session. And the monthly financial report was sent out to everybody. You should have seen it as an attachment so you know where the money's going. In terms of our SU interns, we had some inquiries related to, hold on just a second.
Did somebody get a dog?
I did. Sorry.
Oh.
So the mailman must have just come. So it's a rough time. So we had 3 inquiries related to the political science interns from SU. We sent them the documentation that is required. We do a background check before they're able to come work at the office. And one of them advised that they got a new intern. Another then advised they got another intern, and then the other one never responded. So as of right now, we don't have one, but I expect us to have another interest again when the next semester starts, as we usually do fairly well. But that's where we are. So I wanted to make sure I let you know, because I know the last meeting we talked about, the potentials that we had, and they just all fell through. And so that is pretty much the end. I know last meeting we talked about me going ahead and looking to do the Dago Law Group's conference for the use of force. I have not signed up for that class as of yet. It's closer to the end of the year anyways, but I have not. To be quite honest, I just finished the last of the NACO conference that we have been having classes remotely for the last 2 months, seems like. So I kind of have, fell back. I will let you know that we have done an interview with the Washington Post. They reached out to our office and wanted to ask some questions related to some particular questions. I sent that information out to Hatisha and Peter, and I think everybody else I CC'd you on because I know I did get a response from Lori with some of the answers that I was going to give related to that. So I just wanted to let you know that that interview has been completed. As Peter talked about, we did the interview with the Daily Orange. I foresee interviews being forthcoming in our future, a lot more than maybe I'm used to, and I'm trying to roll with it and go along for the ride. I did mention that we have some outreach events coming up throughout the city. So we'll talk about that when we get ready to talk about community outreach during our committee reports. But I believe that's all that I have for mine.
I have two questions. How did your fame reach the Washington Post so that they called you for an interview?
So in the civilian oversight kind of listserv that I'm in, the Washington Post reporter asked what oversight agencies had experienced certain what's the best word to say? Have experienced certain things going on related to oversight. And so myself and the lady, the new director for Ferguson responded, and I think someone else responded that we had experienced some of the similar issues that they were inquiring about. So that is kind of how we did it. I sent that email to Hatisha and I think Peter asking, hey, the Washington Post sent this questionnaire through the listserv. Do you think I should respond? That kind of thing. And the response was, yeah, go ahead and respond. And then I sent you guys the response before I forwarded it to her so that you would know what the questions were going to be. She is supposed to send me an email when the article is printed. And so we'll kind of go from there. But that's kind of how it occurred. I think it's above my pay grade, but but I was happy that, at least we can be, seen on that level. So I thought that
Not
was
above your
great.
pay grade. It is your pay grade. That's what you're doing.
Okay, my second question is, we're low on cases this year, and I wondered when I saw the article about the police department sending people home and read it, and it said there's just not much going on in the city with people inside from the coronavirus, so we didn't need them on the streets, so we sent them home. That's not exactly the quote, but that's a sense I got from it. Is that your sense of what's going on with us too? There've just been less happenings other than the protests and marches, but in terms of police civilian conflict, there's less happening due to the pandemic?
What I really think is going on is that our office isn't open. Our office is still not open to the public, so people can't just walk in off the street, which is typically what happens. Someone tells them about the CRB and then they just show up. So I think that because that is not that's not available at the moment, and they would have to call the office and make an appointment. I think that that's what's slowing it down. I think that we kind of have increased our visibility in certain areas by volunteering with M. Blanca. So I think that we've kind of done that during the COVID season, but I think that that's just probably it. I'm not sure that there has been less contact with the public, but I just think that just the aspect of them being able to walk into the office changes some things for some people. So I think that that's what it is. And they may not be aware that we're open. They may think that all city offices are closed. I mean, although the mayor's office did send out that, brochure that said, that provided information for city offices and their contact information. The Citizens Review Board was listed on there. But I just think people have just become comfortable just walking into the building and coming to see us. Yes, Dan?
Along those lines, I haven't been to the building since the last time we had a meeting there, but as long as that's the case, and it is the case, obviously, why don't we put a sign down in the lobby saying that we're closed and this is the number, call this number and we can help you that way.
So we did have that for quite some time. And then what happened was we became the telephone number for every question that was related to anything that had to do with the city. So it was like, then we were getting calls about permits. Then we were getting calls about all types of stuff, the water bill. It was just kind of crazy because that's what we did initially because we were concerned. And then finally, the city kind of took down all the notices that were on the window and just put a notice on the building that said the offices are closed until further notice due to COVID. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing that's kind of on the building. But I think that if you call the particular offices that are there, you'll get somebody and they'll say, hey, just make an appointment. But yeah, we did that. And it was whopping. I was looking up stuff left and right. I became like the secretary for every department in City Hall Commons.
I would just tell them, call the water department. Don't call me. We're the,
Can you fix my parking
I had to
ticket?
do that very politely. I
took advantage of the amnesty. Not the parking tickets.
So we did do that so that people would know the information. But then, they'd be like, well, can you give me that number? And, you're like, you didn't want to be like, oh, look it up on the internet, that kind of thing. Or, so we became kind of like the end all be all for all departments. So that's kind of how we ended
much
with
nicer
that
person than I am.
I'd like to move that we have the calls forwarded to Dan.
My answering machine won't take that many.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for the administrator? Okay, committee reports, community outreach.
So we have been doing a lot with Blanca. We rotated between 4 different areas: Westmoreland Park, the West Side, Evangelical Church of God in Christ, and the Southside Innovation Center. And now we are rotating with Blanca to all faith-based areas. The other day, Cliff accompanied me at Peyton Temple Church, which is on Midland. Yesterday, Dana accompanied me at Brotherly Love Church down on State Street. So there's going to be another 2 churches before the end of this. And that was the flyer that I kind of sent out. So we'll kind of make that loop with them. We have been putting our brochures inside the bags that have been giving out. And we've been there to answer any questions that they have had. Cliff, did you want to talk about Peyton Temple?
It's good to be out there with you.
Thank you, Cliff. Dana, did you want to talk about Brotherly Love?
No, we had not a ton of people, but a few people, and it was real positive input. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. I'm still waiting for I know that we will be at the Black Men United event that's coming up on October 10th from 2 to 6. And then there is an event on October 14th through the Black Arts Collective called Say Their Names Memorial, which is going to be at it's going to be at 149 Beatty Street, which is Bethany Baptist Church. And that event we will be at as well. We will be on the program at both of the events, just so you know. So if you can come and participate in those events, I know Lori said she'll be there with me at Black Men United. I'm quite sure Cliff is going to be there at that particular one as well. And then I'm not sure who can come there. Dana's going to be there as well. And if you can come to the one on Beatty Street on the 14th, that's called. Say that again.
What time is the one on the 14th?
On the 14th, it's from 6 to 8.
Okay.
And I'll send you, I know it's a Facebook invite that has been going around, and I can kind of tag you somehow in it,
Okay.
but it's called Say Their Names Through the Black Arts Collective.
Actually, I think I got the invite.
Okay.
I got it
I
yesterday.
think they'll be showing some of the pictures that were taken during the march that we participated in, and we were kind of right in the front, and there were several pictures through the Everson Museum that were taken, that we were present at. So just please, put that on your calendar and plan to come. It probably will be live streamed as well, but and you can see it on your Facebook pages, but please, if you can, come out and support. And that's all I have for community outreach so far. Yes. Lori, that's right, that other one.
The other one on the 19th. It's not, I don't have a lot of information. Some friends of mine who are hairdressers decided that they wanted to do some free haircuts downtown for anyone who needed them, but primarily homeless folk. And when they got the permit, they ended up with like all kinds of agencies wanting to do something. So it is now turned into a coat drive, coat giveaway, as well as haircuts. And lots of different groups will have tables there. And so I volunteered Raynette and I to do that. Anyone else is more than welcome. It's going to be in Clinton Square. Right now it's scheduled from 2 to 5. They meet on Mondays, so it would not surprise me if they get more people interested in doing it if they expanded the hours. But currently it's scheduled from 2 to 5 on the 19th in Clinton Square.
Yes, and I have that one on my calendar. I just didn't know what to call it, so I could.
Yeah, I don't really. I'm calling it haircuts. I don't know what else to call it.
Okay.
But obviously, in Clinton Square in the afternoon, a lot of people are probably going to show up. So even if they're just curious. So
Okay. I will say that we have enough outreach material so far to do that. We have been good about getting those from the clerk's office. Brian at the clerk's office has been very helpful with getting us boxes of brochures, both of our regular brochure and also our what to do when you're stopped by the police. And so those were also put in the bags for the jazz festival that happened kind of like sporadically, but not as much publicity as usual. But we did have our information in those places as well. So I think we've been doing pretty good considering COVID.
Okay. So board development and training. So we had Bob Stewart here on September 5th, and we have talked about him and him come back. Renette got some feedback from various board members. What I remember responding was that if we bring him back, I'd like to focus more specifically on what the CRB can do. I like Bob's vision of how community policing could work. I felt like he tried to cram a lot into that 2 to 3 hour session, and it ended up being a kind of global overview of a lot of things. But what I'd really like to focus on is to have some more interactive discussion on what we as a board can do to help the city or to support the city moving more in that direction that he talked about, where we have actual community policing. I mean, I think the chief's done some good things, and I think I think the CRB. I don't know what role the CRB could play in that, in city government and in the city, and that to me would be what would be worth talking about. Any other thoughts on what we might be able to get from Bob?
I would rather not have him come back. Frankly, I don't think I got much of anything out of what he did.
Nope.
Ooh.
Okay. Other response? Other responses? Dana?
Actually, found him absolutely fascinating. I was really kind of sad that it was so short. Not through anybody's fault, I get it. But I think that he had some interesting outside the box views. And I think that if we talk to him specifically about our issues, that he may have some really important input into it. That's all.
And I know that Hatisha had sent me an email and she was looking for an opportunity to have a question and answer session with him, just kind of posing some questions and getting some sort of insight. And so that's what, because we kind of didn't have that opportunity at the end because it was kind of cut short. So I don't know, it's up to you to take a vote. I would propose as to whether or not you want him back. And if we want him back in October, he has some, time available. If you guys want to do that, and we can do another doodle poll with the dates that he has available. Dan?
Is he currently working as his full-time job here in Syracuse?
No, he works out of Florida. I believe it's Florida. He works out of Florida, but he does vacation.
What?
But he does vacation here in the city, so that's why we don't have to, not in the city of Syracuse. Hold on a second. But not right in the city of Syracuse, but a little bit in the outskirts. So that's the reason why we didn't have to pay travel costs, was because he has a place that's close by. I think it's like in Corning. I want to say it might be in Corning, somewhere close to there where his wife, I believe, grew up. So he's able to do it that way.
Okay.
So should we get a sense of what the whole group wants to do? Let's have a motion to invite Bob back for, again, a half-day Saturday in October. So Dan makes the motion, Lori seconds.
No. I'll make the motion.
I'm sorry, Dan, you want to say something?
Yeah, I have a question about, is this me that's making this nasty?
I don't think so. Okay, we're clear, whatever it was.
Anyway, I would like to have more time to ask questions because I ask questions. That's what I do, and that's the best way for me to learn. And I can't learn what he's saying if I don't understand everything that he's saying. And sometimes I need some clarification, and sometimes I think he's maybe a scant off track, but that's my own opinion. So I don't, but I would like to.
Yes, and Hatisha was saying the same thing, that she wanted to make sure we had time to ask questions. I also think that would be good.
Okay.
So let's see what the group as a whole. Does anybody else have an opinion they want to express before we vote? Okay. Could we have a motion to invite Bob Stewart back for half a day? Dan makes the motion. We have a second. Lori seconds. And all in favor?
Aye.
So I see 1, 2, 3, 4 hands.
Mary said aye. Did you say aye, May? May? Okay.
We hear from Cliff, May, and Mary.
So Mary did say aye.
Okay.
Aye.
May said aye, and Cliff? Cliff, you with us? Okay, so we can't hear a vote from Cliff.
Yeah, he's still there. I'm not sure what's going on.
Cliff, you want to put a vote in the chat? We can get it. Okay, that's over. We don't have a vote, and so let's say all opposed. You're opposed, raise your hand. Or if you're abstaining, any abstains? Ruth, are you abstaining?
No, I'm voting no.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't see your hand. Okay, so we have, I think, 6 yeses and 1 no.
I'm sorry. I was saying aye. I thought Renee had
Okay.
unmuted me. I was saying aye.
Thank
yes.
you.
All right.
So I think it's 7 yeses and 1 no. Okay, so we'll follow up on that. Renette, did he give us October dates?
Let me just check 1 second, sorry. He says, right, the last message I got from him was that October was just wide open for him. So just whatever dates we can get.
Okay,
the
I'll
amount
send
of
out
people to work
tomorrow a question about Saturdays in October. So please check your calendar for Saturdays in October. Okay, government relations. Renette, you want to talk about that?
Yes, related to, we have a meeting coming up. We had a meeting scheduled this month, but it was moved. It was rescheduled due to everybody scrambling, trying to get in information related to the right to know legislation and put in their proposed changes. So our meeting is scheduled for October the 7th between 3 and 4 p.m. via WebEx. So we'll have our whole group meeting again related to that. So I just wanted to let everybody know.
Okay. No community organizations, no public here to comment. I think we're finished with all board business. So I'd like to take a motion to move to executive session so we consider our cases. Dan made the motion. Someone second, please. Dana second. And all in favor, moving to executive session? Everybody's in favor. We will now close this portion of the meeting and move to executive session.
All right, give me 1 moment to stop the recording.
Yep.